Hey everyone, welcome back to State of the Industry. I'm Chris Gaines, co-founder and CMO at the Den, and we're here with a resident blockchain expert.
I'm Svet. Thank you very much for joining our podcast. I hope that we will be good enough for you to listen to us now in the future.
So last podcast we had, a kind of negative vibe going on. We were talking about the current state of, blockchain and crypto and everything moving into 2019 and what our thoughts were, what we thought was going to happen in the near future and long term. So today we're thinking we're going to switch it up and look at some of the more positive trends that we've been seeing in the space. And really, we want everyone to know that we want to showcase the reality of what's happening here. We're not trying to sugarcoat anything or be super negative. Our goal is to showcase the actuality of what's happening so you can be informed and make the right decisions as you're learning about blockchain, building a company, building dApps, whatever it might be.
Oh, well, my job to be super negative, actually.
And I'll be positive and we'll balance it out. So,
and, I, by the way, I assume that you're referring to my statement in the last podcast that bear market of ours going to be lasting 10 years. Am I right?
That's the one.
Excellent. Okay, so
all right.
Let's. But today our topic will be just an opposite, 180% on the other side, degree, of course. So what we're going to talk about it, we have some positive tendency on the market.
All right. So without further ado, let's hop into it. First off, top 10 positive trends in crypto. Number one, there are fewer ignorant people in the blockchain and crypto space right now. Why do you think this is the case? And, add your thoughts onto that.
Oh, that's very difficult to count. Very difficult to make an arithmetic conclusion. But what I'm seeing from my personal meeting with people, I'm seeing that the number of the completely stupid posts in YouTube and other medias drastically decreased compared specifically with the beginning of 2018. And what I'm seeing from my own podcasts and from people who are asking me questions tells me that that's true.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. The people that, running classes at the Den, the people that show up to our classes nowadays are a slightly different demographic than the people that have been showing up to our classes. And obviously, we've always had a mix. But at one point, and I'm sure I've told this before, but at one point we had intro to Ethereum classes we were running. I believe it was beginning of 2017 or end of 2017. One of those times where the market had just exploded. We had 30 people signed up for an intro to Ethereum class. This was paid $150 a ticket for a 3-hour class because of the demand for this type of information at that time. We only had 20 seats available and we were kind of freaking out how we're going to handle the situation. And 10 people paid the money and did not show up to the class. That's how flushed they were with this excitement in Ethereum price or on the influx of the price.
Oh, I wish those times come back, right? They paying.
Everyone would love that. Yeah.
They paying.
Yeah.
And that you don't spending, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or they spent and they didn't care because they had made so much with the
so you're net
price.
positive.
Exactly.
That's what we need to have on the market.
That's amazing to have, but that's not what we're seeing nowadays. Nowadays, we're seeing
Not
people
yet.
with ideas and people with long-term goals and using the technology and not just thinking about the price. So, I mean, personally, I completely agree. I think this is an amazing trend and something that the people who are actively, looking to learn, looking to build, looking to grow, they need to continue doing what they're doing, not give up just because a portion of, what they were thinking about or what was building up is no longer, supporting them. But yeah, it's constantly moving. Any final thoughts on this trend?
No, I think it's practically covered because we all feeling that, and I'm sure that you also feel that, and I'm certain that one of the most positive thing which we can extract from that drastic reduction in our size of our portfolios and the value of it.
100%. All right. Moving on to the next positive trend in blockchain and crypto right now. All right. Developers are continuing to build on top of existing platforms, and the number of dApps that are available and that are being released continues to grow.
Oh, that one, which I can't even measure on myself, because during that bear market, I become much better coder. So before that, I just didn't care too much how line of code I write each day. Now it's became my habit, and I'm not even professional coder. I'm building my applications and I'm advising other teams. I'm more like an architect for a backend, but still portion of time I'm devoting to that activity increased, which is good. It makes me better technically. It makes me better expert, and it makes my product better. And I'm sure that for majority of people who are actively involved in that space, it's the same. And that, of course, creates better decentralized applications, which people will use in their everyday life. That's what we need.
I have a question for you. What do you think is the average development cycle or time for, someone is trying to create an MVP of a larger idea for a dApp? What do you think the actual time period it would take for them to build that out would be?
Oh, that depends. That depends on what type of application you develop. If you develop a simple application, same for gaming, you're putting some cryptocurrency on top of the existing gaming machine, it may take even like several months. But if you talk about more kind of several layers type of applications which require confirmation of the states in the blockchain
and integrating with other infrastructure,
and if it is even side chaining or multi-chaining, it may take up to the year or even more. Don't forget that we have a beta versions which are usually tested at least several months, and then we have the we can call it post-production activity when we put some additional features, or we decide which feature is a bug, which feature stays, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, very dependent on type of the application you use. But I would say that if application takes more than 5 to 6 months, it's a big application.
Yeah.
It's like already kind of outside of the average.
And I think that also doesn't take into account the conceptualizing phase that happens before you even decide to go out and build out an actual application, right? So, and I think that kind of leads back to the positive point that there is still a lot, at least this is what I believe. I think there are still a lot of, projects in the works that don't play along with the market itself.
Well, yes. Point of that positive trend is we basically have now probably only 2 functional platforms, right? Which is Ethereum and EOS.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we in the past maybe even like a 6 months, the number of applications at least quadrupled.
Yeah.
And we already start to see some applications which are starting to gain in popularity. Of course, we cannot still compare them with CryptoKitties, but they're moving there.
100%. Any final thoughts on that? What do you think is going next?
I think that as soon as the next generation of platform come into fruition, we're going to have even more.
Yeah, and just to add to that, essentially all of the ecosystem that has been built out on Ethereum has been kind of rebuilt or is being rebuilt on EOS. And then as soon as all these other protocols come out, the same type of ecosystem is going to be rebuilt on top of them until there are actual really working multi-chain solutions. You're going to have to rebuild all of these things on top of each new platform.
Oh yeah. So until we wait when we come to the multi-chain. Then we probably have a protocol on top of the protocol on top of the protocol.
Oh, yeah. And then we're, blockchain inception, and then we're all kind of lost. So yeah, awesome. So let's move on to the next one. All right. Positive trend number 3 in blockchain and crypto. It looks like the majority of DLT companies are still working on activating their platforms. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's one of the which for most of us became like a frustration this year, because I personally expected at least maybe a dozen of platforms, specifically such platforms as Cardano, because they obviously have very good consensus algorithms, or Ouroboros is perfect.
Yep.
And many other platforms are also kind of maybe performed under the expectations of the crowd. We still cannot develop anything on top of that, except in some kind of very, very testy mode, or you are part of this closed circles of the initial developers. You can do something, but I doubt. So it's still repeating myself, but we still have, from my point of view, somebody can disagree, but we have two platforms, which is EOS and which is Ethereum. I'm primarily developing on top of the Ethereum, but also I'm looking at the EOS very closely. I'm participant of the hackathon and so on and so forth. But it will be so nice to have all these plans of the platform specifically with new decentralized of the new consensus algorithms coming into the workable phase. I want to see like POS at least functional, right? I want to see decentralized asynchronous graphs operationals and operational, and there are already at least I read several white papers which are dedicated to building smart platform on top of the DAX.
Yeah,
and that's a new thing. And of course, which I'm most excited about is multi-chaining.
So what do you think are the top, 3 protocols that you'd like to see released, completely as soon as possible?
Oh, I want to see, of course, Ouroboros. That's the first one. Then I very much to see the protocols which are based on Polkadot, which is basically drastically increasing the capacity of interoperability capacity for not only people who are programming on these platforms, but also people programming on other platforms. And I'm really excited to see the spread of the Mimblewimble based projects.
Okay, cool.
Of course, Green, Bean, but there are a couple of others.
Yeah, on my end, Origin is someone that we actually been interacting with directly. So they have some really cool stuff that I'm curious to see exactly what's going to happen when they actually release. And the other Burst is technically testnet's out. There's a lot of development, a lot of stuff happening over there. And I've seen a lot of promising ideas. Their consensus algorithm, proof of capacity, is a really cool take on, reaching consensus that does not require the proof of work, the entire, power drain and every negative thing involved with that. So again, I think there's so many ideas out there that I guess have either just their roadmaps are still extended a little further out, or they've been pushed back for whatever reason. But those ideas still need to come to fruition for us to, analyze them and make a decision and, test them and see what can we do with this new technology, this new idea, where we have to progress forward. If you're not progressing, then nothing's happening. And there's obviously a lot of progress being made. So there's a lot of promise that's still out there for us to wait and see.
Yeah, that's true.
So any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that because of the market, or because of the prices of the cryptos alone, now many companies will be experiencing difficulties with their production. And I've already met several executives who are actually complaining they need to drastically reduce in their number of their developers. And that might be reflected in the quality of their platform, which is not good.
Yeah.
Because we can accept that maybe some application built on top of the platform is not good. But if we have like underlying layer just isn't working, that's going to be disaster.
Foundation is the most important part
of
any protocol and infrastructure.
So we have to see. We have to see what will happen this year.
Cool. All right, sounds good. Next positive trend in blockchain and crypto. Many DLT companies which managed to get caught up in the wave of the 2017 crypto rise, they've been starting to make adjustments to existing market conditions by cutting costs and making alliances.
Oh yeah, that's very obvious. So one thing which immediately jumped into mind, it's the Tron purchasing for $180 million. BitTorrent. It's not particularly clear at that point of view how they will use it.
Yeah.
So I mean, use it like how they merge the companies, because always big issue. But according to what I've heard from the management, I talked to BitTorrent management, and they said that probably Tron will be used as the complementary currency for additional services. For example, if you wanna to have, BitTorrent is relatively slow.
Yeah.
But if you want to increase the
Speed
speed,
it up.
you have to pay in accordingly in TRX, which is a currency of Tron.
Yeah.
But again, it's not official. It's just rumors, and nobody knows what happens. But that's one of the indication of that positive trend when people start to think about the business model.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's I mean, just maybe not exactly protocol companies, but Consensus. They, in the past couple months, they had their let off or layoff. But it's more so. It seems like they're shoring up on where they actually believe the focus should be. They're cutting out the fat, trimming the fat, and focusing and honing in on what they think will actually create uh, like successful business models in the future, right? Or whatever is currently making the money at this moment.
Well, if you ask me, I would say that one of the negative examples, because positive and negative. Of course, companies must cut in the price.
Yeah.
Cut in the expenses. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But they have to make that with some perspective in mind. And I'm not particularly clear what perspective for Steam it is, except that like a hanging on until the price of the Steam will be again like a 10x from the current current levels.
Well, if we look at Steemit, I mean, Steemit is relatively locked in on their business model on exactly what they're doing. So, I mean, they are pretty price reliant, right? But Consensus is looking to create new use cases, and trying to capitalize on use cases for Ethereum in this case specifically, right?
Well, that's true. Consensus was basically concentrating their efforts on developing the market.
Yeah.
So they try to create an infrastructure. They
Exactly.
try to create as many, server applications that they can. They can try to encourage the developers to build upon the Ethereum event, virtual machine. Again, cutting number of people in the Consensus, which is basically like 11% of the personnel they announced, may be good, maybe not.
True. I mean, it's all kind of in one way or another.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they enjoy cutting people as any other company does. But again, I have not been hearing from Consensus too much on the strategic side. So
that's a good point. They haven't given much information on what they're doing now.
Actually, nobody really has revealed any strategies.
True.
With regards to the current dip, because nobody really expected to cryptocurrencies going so deep.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Final thoughts?
Well, I think that in the nearest couple of months, let's say in the nearest 6 months, expecting that some companies will come out at least with some topics for their strategies.
Oh, so like updating their roadmaps,
outlines of the strategies.
That makes sense.
So what happened if really their market will be maybe not 10 years, but maybe like 5 years? So what their strategies on this one?
Yeah, and I think ideally I'd like to see them hone in on what's going to really sustain them as they look to grow.
Oh, excellent point. Because most of them they are now cutting their crypto holding more than 5 times, and if maybe even more than 5 times, 8 times. Compare, you understand what I'm talking about, right?
And
most of them, yes.
If the only sustenance that they have is the market going up, then what is the real value that they're providing?
Not only that, they have to pay their employees from the existing crypto on their accounts, from what they hold, but the current value of that holdings has been drastically decreased.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the near future with these new developments.
Right.
All right. So moving on to the next topic. All right. New trend or positive trend in blockchain and crypto. Businesses, including corporations, are continuing to search for working business models in crypto. This kind of plays off, the previous one that we spoke about. But why don't you tell us further about this?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, not a little bit, maybe mostly, yes. But it's a different thing. First, we talk about kind of more on strategic side. So what are they going to be, what they are doing in terms of the operations.
Yeah.
So now that topic tells us what is what they really plan to do. I mean, what products.
Yeah.
How product must change with regards of the current conditions, because the situation is that most of the platforms, they don't even have a business model.
Yeah.
They just saying that, okay, we are decentralized, our team is only temporary, and ideally in the future all of that will be maintained by the community. Take Steemit.
Yeah.
They don't really have a corporation behind the Steemit. Like EOS have at least a company behind them, but
True.
not even the company, foundation. Same with Ethereum, right? Same foundation type of thing. It's not a businesses in a real term. They don't have accounting. They don't maintain that reports for their stockholders looking for the profit, and that's a big issue for us, because now when we talk about the business model, we're asking ourselves, business model for what?
Yeah. And I think this is actually a perfect point to segue into the idea that existing companies, corporations, enterprises, are actively looking for ways to extract value from blockchain and distributed ledger technology. The crazy one that always pops in, or that I like to use, is Walmart and IBM and the Food Trust network that they've created, right? Where essentially Walmart is requiring all of their food distributors, or at least as far as their produce, to be a part of their Hyperledger blockchain, or Hyperledger ledger, basically, network. And they're tracking the food essentially from where it's produced, who distributes it, all the way to the retailer, where it ends up on the shelves, and having all this data in, as far as the companies that are involved, being able to see exactly where things went, so that if there ever is a salmonella outbreak, or something happens, rather than spending millions or who knows how much money trying to track down exactly where this came from, where other outbreaks could occur, figuring out how quickly they can take down, spoiled food from the shelves, or unsafe food from the shelves. Everyone involved in that consortium is of the same agreement that we probably should know exactly where this came from and be efficient about it and save money in the long run and save lives in the long run. So I think we want to see more things like that. And I think a lot of businesses are looking to not only take, Hyperledger, but even, Ethereum or EOS based ideas, and actually turn them into something they can use now. And we see that there are a lot of people talking about it, a lot of businesses with funding from external working business models looking to integrate blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology. So yeah, you have any final thoughts on that?
Well, one more thing which I want to add to that probably the effective way is to combine all the business model with a new one.
Yeah.
For example, there is this.
I like that.
Yeah. For example, there is this metal MTX company cryptocurrency, and what they propose is to actually to be the straightforward or mainstream payment network, P2P, input cryptocurrency and use cryptocurrency as a reward point for each and every transaction in and out. That means that every time you make a transfer, you receive the reward automatically on your account, on your crypto account.
Yeah.
Of course, there is a question whether it's going to be like economics sustained behind that, because of, who knows, cost and profit analysis.
But that's a different discussion altogether.
Yeah, it's absolutely different. But that's a good example.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, we're really hoping that we get to see a lot more of these combined business models emerge pretty soon, and then develop a lot of new ideas out of that. So cool. Moving on to the next topic, the next trend. Let's see. So all right, next trend. We still have about 20 to 50 million people that are holding on to cryptocurrencies. And there are at least about 1 to 2 million active users. So what do you think about this one?
Well, that's probably one of the supporting cornerstones of our ecosystem, because without the people who are using crypto, we won't have, of course, usage case.
Everything dies.
And during the past 2 years, we more or less increased our use base at least twice. Of course, it's extremely difficult to provide the supporting statistics. We are like don't actually revealing too much information. Any company don't reveal any information about that, so information is unreliable. But according to general impression, according to data from multiple sources, sometimes it's contradictory data. But according to that, we are growing. Was it because people slowly but surely buying like a $10 of the cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
Or whether because it's just growing in usage? It's difficult to say. And that's another problem, because from 50 million, we have only 1 million who are actually using cryptocurrencies, but that's probably get us to the previous topic, so I don't want to repeat that.
Yeah. No, I think that is it is good if you think 50 million is there's 300 million people or 350 in the US. So that's a decent chunk of people that have interacted. If you're thinking just in terms of the US, obviously, that's a decent chunk of people who would have interacted with cryptocurrency, who would have gone through the steps to actually own some.
Oh, by the way, one more comment which I forget to make is that there are 30, 50 million. It's only in the developed world, because we don't even have statistics about other countries.
So it's
mostly about
higher.
Europe and the United States of America, where at least we know something.
Yeah.
Because most of the statistics come from the say we have for about like if I'm not mistaken, like 50 million accounts on Coinbase.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a statistics.
Where
because Coinbase is officially reporting, it has to report a second to many other agencies. But with regards to the countries in, I don't know, most of the African countries, right?
Yeah.
Most of the Asian countries, they don't provide any statistics about that. In some countries, crypto is officially banned. So officially, crypto doesn't exist there, but of course it does.
Of course it's there. It's impossible.
So we can probably count at least like maybe on top of the 50 million, we probably at least have 20 more. That's my estimate. So probably we have like a.
So what do you think? What do you think are the things that are holding people back from, or holding more people back from jumping into or having interacted with cryptocurrency?
Well, there are many opinions about that. My opinion is that that's a legislation. So because we don't have any clear legal definition of crypto, all civilized countries, I mean all the countries in America and in Western Europe, they haven't been able to come up with anything comprehensive, except that people talking about the Malta, people talking about Estonia. Yeah. But still, even in those countries, I've looked very, very in detailedly into their legislations. It's nothing like comprehensive. Yeah, I'm sorry. They made something, and it's much better than nothing. But
people are utilizing it, but even then, there's still some gray areas.
Yeah, mostly it's a political declaration.
Yeah. And I also think that there's an entire market of developing countries that have unique, or at least like not as well known to people in the U.S. or Europe, use cases or microeconomies or some situations where cryptocurrency could really explode and be actually utilized. We know some people who are looking to create exchanges in those places, who are looking to bring a lot of the excitement or stuff that's been tested and tried in the US, for instance, to these places and see what they need to model or shift or change that can allow them to actually take even greater advantage of it than we've been able to, maybe due to the regulations or whatever it might be. So at least how I see it, that 20 to 50 million, or actually more importantly, that 1 to 2 million active users, that is a number that could be increased exponentially with just say one solid use case put together in a developing country, for instance. So I see that as a opportunity, honestly, for a lot of people.
One of the main and prime and first use case for cryptocurrency is international transfers, remittances, and
absolutely,
famous slogan, bank and banked. More than the half population.
Banking the unbanked,
More than the half population of the world, they are outside of the existing financial system.
Exactly.
So this population doesn't have an access to the regular banking services we all have in the West.
But they have access to internet.
They have an access to internet, and they all hold a cellular phone, which costs now maybe less than $100.
Exactly.
So people in the middle of the Equatorial Guinea can just take out the phone and immediately make a transfer.
Yeah.
And we know the example of the Kenya, where the famous currency used to be the point for the
like minutes, right?
yeah, exactly, for the telephone conversations.
Exactly.
Now became take like a 60%, 60 of all the transactions in that country. It's
Really?
amazing. And that's one example. We need much more.
100%.
Yeah, to talk about real usability, because again, people are going to be using crypto if you can pay crypto to your landlord, if you can pay crypto in the grocery stores, if you can buy on crypto without caring about this crazy tax reports you have to make each and every time you make the transition from one crypto to another, and so on and so forth. So that's delaying adoption very significantly.
Yeah, and I think we'll make a lot of progress as we continue to go.
We have, but we still have a very long road to go.
100%.
Like 10 years, you know.
Specifically. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next trend. All right. This is a great trend. I think, resonates with both of us. The education level among the crypto crowd, blockchain crowd, continues to slowly increase. What do you think about this one?
Well, I think you are in a better position to talking about that, because I'm primarily like a modern expert. So I provide my opinion on protocols, on different projects, provide ratings. I'm not specifically involved in education unless you people or other people ask me to make some types of presentations. But overall, what I've seen, as you said, from the first trend, that the number of people educated, specifically on the technical side, increased. And I've seen more and more people started to making feedbacks on my articles and so on. So I'm judging that by the some facts which are available to me. So what is your more professional view on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of stated it before, but I mean, to reiterate, what I feel like we've kind of seen is the people who don't really care about the technology, who care about actually creating, building, and making something cool happen because of it or solving a real problem. We don't see too many people like that anymore. Um, we've been running classes, we've been running events for like more than a year and a half almost at this point. Um, and the people who come to our events are typically, they seem like they know what they're talking about. I rarely sit down with someone to have a discussion, even coming to an intro class, who who seems to know nothing and is just, this is the first time they've ever even tried to learn something, even if it's on their own. In fact, I think a lot of people that we interact with have already worked on self-educating themselves a lot, which is exciting, which is good. And obviously, there's a ton of information available on the internet. There's a ton of resources, but what I like to see and what I think I've continued to see is more and more as we progress, with providing, higher level or more intense or deeper education to people, is that the people at the top of our progression, when they first kind of come to us as a touch point of blockchain education, I can have conversations with them about the topics. They're not clueless. They don't even, half the time, price or the market, that doesn't even come up unless it's as a joke. They already have ideas a lot of the time. It's someone who's interested in development. They typically have already, done their research. Maybe they've started to learn Solidity if they're trying to figure out or to build on Ethereum. And it's been honestly, while yes, there might be less overall people kind of talking about blockchain, crypto, everything, the people who are around, I feel like, are more genuine people. They're more real. They have some form of passion about being on the forefront of like innovative technology, of creating something new, of progressing, if you want to get really, philosophical, progressing humanity forward, right? With the, web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, beyond web, beyond, shifting the way that we interact with each other, removing some of the power that has been so centralized between certain places, well, obviously with certain approaches. This is all stuff that more people that we interact with on a daily basis seem to exhibit these ideas, these thoughts, and the desire to create That's really what I see.
Oh, yeah, that's true. However, we still very much on the beginning of that phase
100%. It's
because
just beginning.
I just I was watching you guys how much effort you spent on just developing the some big like underlying material for your educational courses.
Yeah, yeah.
It just take time because there is no like a using the technical term first layer of the education. So there is
Exactly.
no basic works available which you can refer to. So all we do now, for example, in order to be able to report to you guys about the current trend in the consensus algorithms, I have to go to the sources of that algorithm. I have to basically go get through all this mathematics, and there is not anything which helped me with that. So I get to kind of get my hands dirty right from the start, and it's not easy and that's not good. It's just it just takes time.
Yeah, and to add to that point, as a perfect example, our Hyperledger instructor, uh, he learned Hyperledger by going through the pages of IBM documentation directly. Read the whole
That's
thing,
exactly the point.
build out. It started building, started learning.
And
He literally did the most difficult job as a first mover, which is go straight to the source, learn, struggle before any of the support layer, like you're saying, has been built out. He had to figure it out himself, and that is what has allowed him to go out and work in the industry as a Hyperledger developer, and then obviously shift over because he also understands the pain that he had to go through to learn the stuff. He now is being that first layer of shifting it down, condensing it in a way that someone can actually, come through and spend a lot less time, a lot less effort, not have to deal with all the struggles and mistakes and stuff that someone has to deal with typically when they're building from scratch. Right.
And additionally, don't forget that we are in a developing space. So people continue to create different protocols. I already know for about like maybe 30 of them. So 30 different consensus protocols already have been created. And I'm talking about more or less substantiated protocols. I mean, the protocols, you can name at least protocols because there are other, like maybe a couple of hundreds others which are pretending to be protocols, but not protocols at all.
Forks of other protocols.
But still, they are kind of new innovative solutions to the existing issues.
Yeah.
So that's also have to be taken into the picture when you develop this educational material and nobody helping. So
absolutely.
But well, when I talk about the nobody, I mean like usually we talk about the government who support education. So we talk about the corporations who have to support education because they need the next generation of their employee coming replacing their existing workforce. But we don't have anything like that in the crypto space yet.
Yeah.
Well, probably we have to deal with what we have.
100%.
But I'm very much looking to the future when that market going to be much more structured.
Yeah, I completely agree. With more structure and more development, I think the education space is going to be obviously is very important and will continue to grow.
And partially, it's our job, right?
Yeah, really true.
Yeah,
shameless plug right there.
Yes,
www.theden.io.
No, I'm not doing that.
All right. Yeah, cool. Moving on to the next trend. The fact that crypto the prices are relatively low right now and probably going a little lower. How low we don't know yet, but we'll see. Has been easing the pressure that's been imposed on our community by governments, bureaucrats, and regulations. Go.
Yeah, and that's a big one because we all witnessed that in 2017 specifically, many governments put a lot of efforts on trying to reduce this hype in the crypto market by actually introducing many, I would put it mildly, unnecessary legislation and restrictions. However, I don't think we can really blame them for that because they were unprepared as much as any other people were unprepared, and they didn't actually have any expertise on inside of the governance which might have been able to help them to come out with this legislation. So we had what we had. Now, when we are in a drastically different situation, when we have the prices low, market governments actually make a different type of moves. So they are now getting inside of their small, well, maybe big offices and start to work on the more detailed legislation, which is good.
Yeah. So I think I'd like to challenge you on this one a little bit.
On the small offices, I'm sorry.
No,
I should
they're
have said that's a
huge. They're
big,
most likely huge. But
huge, yes.
besides that, um, so low price. Do you think that that also could lead to a lesser amount of urgency for regulators to, you know, continue the work that they were doing and really care about creating the most ideal, fair laws and regulations for everyone involved in like the crypto and blockchain space?
Oh yeah, it definitely can. But would it be negative? I don't think so because so many reaction of the politicians to the current crisis or to the price rise is explained by the I would put it like not directly associated with making that crypto prices, crypto market. We have
Well, we'll just
Oh, okay, okay,
keep
okay, okay,
rolling.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, let's go. So basically, it is more connected to the how well politicians want to reestablish itself on the market rather than to the current situation. So they introduce laws which doesn't work, and the next stage for us is to introduce a law which actually works.
yeah, yeah. I completely agree. Um, and we're just. I feel like in that case, we can just be hopeful that with less pressure on the bureaucrats themselves, that they will do the right thing, quote unquote. Take the time to learn, find experts who can teach them exactly what is real and what is happening in the space, what cryptocurrency actually represents, what is actually happening with it, and understand how it works to the point where they're not regulating in response, like you were saying, but are doing what they're supposed to be doing. What I would hope the vast majority of them are really good at with the right set of circumstances, which is uh, figuring out what is the best course forward. How can we protect consumers or investors or whatever it is? How can we not put holds or limitations on companies or people where there don't need to be and still enable people to be, free to choose and do what they want without, harming others? I think it's kind of their job, and what I do believe that they will be able to do with the lower sense of urgency, but more time, more freedom to learn realistically.
Yeah, I agree. That's a right way for us to proceed right now. So letting them work better on their side of the issue, and let us continue to develop.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I hope that the future legislation will be more thoroughly thoughtful that they passed on.
Awesome. Yeah. Pretty straightforward. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Final positive trend in blockchain and crypto. All right. I like this one a lot. So, competition is lowering. It's become a bit simpler. That could be an understatement. It could be a lot simpler, actually. For new, good DLT companies, blockchain companies with good ideas to be noticed and actually grow. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think you're right. It's a good trend because I'm feeling that in incubator which I run for blockchain companies, for distributed ledger technology companies, and we now have more interest from part of the VC community for what we're doing, just because the competition is decreased. Because well, it's not because we have lesser companies looking for investments, but because VCs now not so much concentrated on ICOs. They are not so much about the coins. Now they're kind of getting better the fundamentals, looking to the team, looking to the solution, and that makes it much more comprehensive for all parties involved.
And I actually kind of see this as humanity is built on the knowledge of previous people, right, of previous situations, both positive and negative. I see this as a situation, as an opportunity where, but when Bitcoin first came out, that was the first real use case of blockchain. There was no precedent really for it, how it was going to be, turn into a business or make people money or whatnot. It just all we had was, the price fluctuations and everything that happened there. Now, fast forward, 10 years, we have essentially trailblazers and different protocols, different DApp ideas, different people trying to innovate in different ways, whether they've succeeded or failed. Unfortunately, in this case, it's more of like a depressed failure, or not even really a failure, but people have pulled back and they've left trails of where they've tried to go. And so these new companies or people who are coming up with new ideas and trying to build now, they're essentially able to stand on the shoulders of giants, or in this case of dead bodies, dead companies, or surviving companies, existing companies that are still in the space, or existing groups, foundations, organizations, whatever it might be. Now we finally have that body of knowledge, that body of information that people can start making more specific decisions based off of them, right? They can say like, oh, this market that someone tried to, or this particular crypto economic formula did not work at all over here. Maybe I should not do it.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Right? And I think additionally, we have created additional fields for crypto companies expansion, because
exactly.
we managed to build new protocols. It's not only like Bitcoin now.
Yeah.
So now we have much more space for new companies to be developed.
Exactly.
And that's what makes me so optimistic on side of the development.
Yeah, there it is. I like it when you say you're optimistic.
Yes.
It's a rare thing.
Yeah. Trying to balance.
Yeah. And just to reiterate or add to my point, our blockchain for business leaders course is built off of, case studies of blockchain and DLT companies case studies. So we're literally take a look at, both the positive, successful companies, the ones that are still existing today, that are still working and have integrated blockchain technology or making money off of it. And also look at the ones that tried something interesting, tried to innovate, failed, whatever it might be. And we break that down, and we actually, we're literally in that center, in that forefront of showcasing, this is now the body of work that we have. This is your textbook, right? See what everyone before you has done in reality, in real life, in the actual space. And now you can make decisions based on what they've done before you. I think it's as simple as that. That's how we grow. That's how, maybe that's the exponential curve of growth that we need of this previous body of exploration, research, and development before we break through your 10-year gap, right? If that's what it takes.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that now we have not only less competition, but we have at the same time right type of competition. So we have a competition from the better companies. So we have like a double effect. So reduce competition from the companies which practically has nothing to do with blockchain, which was like created only for profiting
off of the hype,
IRC20 based tokens. And now we have absolutely another situation. So people actually building businesses.
Yes.
And we have lesser number of such companies, but more of the quality people and more of the quality business models there.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the trend.
Absolutely. And I think that really settles it. So any final thoughts on that one?
Well, I only hope it will continue even after we have this. Maybe we have that temporary spike in price.
Everything's a maybe.
Everything is maybe here.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps this State of the Industry podcast up. This is really exciting. I'm glad that from the previous podcast that we did, we shifted away from the only talking about the negativity. Now we show a lot of the more positive stuff that's happening in the industry, and I feel like this is kind of the most important thing that we can do to help you, to provide to you, is help you understand everything that's happening in the space across all sections, all perspectives, right?
Yeah, I think that negativity, positivity is just the terms we shouldn't be kind of over exploiting. So we have to be more or less objective. But because it's difficult to be really objective specifically for, I don't know, for human beings, right? So
Yeah.
we are not like a computers who can generate automatic responses to the external reactions. So we involuntarily express our more or less like a subjective opinions.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to maintain a balance.
So I think next episode we'll probably just have everything be only facts based and read out by a robot, just to keep everything even.
Yeah, we invite Sophia, right, to interview, and she tells truth.
Awesome. So yeah, if you guys have any input, any positive trends that you've seen in the market in the space, any feedback, drop a comment down below, or reach out to us on our Telegram. Svet, ask Svet about crypto, right?
Yeah, I'm running this Telegram channel, Ask Svet about crypto. You can also Google me, Svet Sedov, and you see my podcasts and my articles. You can send me questions directly. You can send me the questions through my social media. You're welcome. And I hope that I'm doing something which is really helpful for you.
And you can also connect with us at the Den. All the links will be in the description. The Nexus will be our Telegram, or the Decentralized Education Nexus. And we really just want to have a discussion and see what you're doing and how everyone is working in the space to make something really cool happen.
And by the way, if you have some suggestions about our future podcast, it's going to be great if you send that information to me or to Chris.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that.
All right. Well, with that, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.
See you. Bye-bye.